making sure not like the tenderloin or anything. The tenderloin is right down here. It's not caught in my saw, so I'll just destroy it. I go to the saw, I'm just clearing it and making sure that I got all the meat out of the way. Okay, so normally if you bought a cooked pig's pig, it would come to you like this. It'd be split at the slaughterhouse. They use like a circular saw. So what they do is they come in off the opposite end that I came in, and they just get a saw that's probably the size of that fan right there, and just split straight around the middle. It's a really precise cut. If you do mess that cut up, you can cut into right here, which is your loin, your pork chop, and you can mess that up. So you want to be really careful when you split a pig like this if you're going to make pork chops out of it. Like I was saying before, if you guys are in the field and you want to quarter it, what you do is you find this rib section right here. This is where the rib starts. You cut your pig on that axis right there. That keeps most of your belly intact. This part of the pig you can just pretty much throw away. It's on the gland area. It takes your center cut, which is the part with the tenderloin in it, and keeps away from here. And what you do is you pull from this side up and rip the meat completely off of the spine. And so you have 4 sections, it's a little easier. Another way to do it, I've seen people do, is get a saw and saw down the ribs right here on one end. So you have your spine connected to one end as opposed to that. So you do still do bone chops and want on one end. Just matter what you guys want to do in the field. So here's your shoulder. If you were asking the copa would be right here. Yeah. So this is your collarbones right here. Behind this is your butt. This is your pigment, your shin, your spare rib, and I'll show you why it's called spare rib in a little bit. Your baby back's right here. This is your center cut, which is also a pork chop area, which is not as desirable as some restaurants because it doesn't have the rib in it. So it's pretty much going to be a bone-in chop, but it's not going to be a rib chop. When you eat like restaurants, they want the rib chops. You charge more premium price for that. When you get into this section right here, that is your sirloin. So like we're selling a sirloin roast, it's got double meat in it, like double muscle in it, so it's a little tougher than most of the chop. So it's a little less desirable, but you can still do nice stuff with it. Then you got your ham back here. Me personally, I'm a simple dude. I just grind the ham up and make sausage out of it, and you just never trim that stuff do that. With you guys, I'll show you how to break it down and bone it, and you can do it in groups. You can do stuff like little cutlets, little steaks out of it, stuff like that. It's just a matter of what your preference is. I'm a simple dude, so I pretty much just grind everything up anyways. So when you split a pig with a saw like that, you get what's called bone dust, which is just bone dust. So you gotta use a bone scraper. So if you're gonna do get a saw like similar to that, which you probably won't, you're gonna want to get a tool like this to clean up the mess. So you see how that dust in there? You scrape down it, and it all comes right off. You pretty much have 2 knives, a boning knife and a breaking knife. The breaking knife is usually used for breaking off of a rail. So when you do beef in like a slaughter facility, they'll all come in on a rail, and you want a longer knife so you can get through the strokes and reach out and move around as much. I use it when I'm doing longer cuts, like when I'm breaking the ham off, or breaking the shoulder off, and stuff like that. The boning knife is the knife you use the most. This knife is a $30 knife. You probably could have got one just as nice, but not as fancy as a handle for 15 bucks. Victorinox, Forstner, Dick, they all make great knives, and they sharpen up super easy with the stone. That was the same size.
Wow.
So after using this is probably 6 months of use, that's that knife you turn into like a commercial setting where you're sharpening it 2 or 3 times a day. So, get a knife. If you want to get a really expensive knife, you don't need it. You can just get a cheaper knife, something that's a throwaway, and just take care of it. Once you drop something like this on the floor, it's done. You can sit a tip on that, it's all flat. There's someone dropping on the floor, you don't want it anymore, just go buy a new knife. I recommend getting, F-Dicks are nice, they have bigger grips, and these are a little more expensive, the Victorinox. They stay super sharp and they're easy to sharpen. So if you're going to do something like, say you have a whole animal and you got it all out in the field, you have a meat hook, it might come in handy just to pick the thing up and wrap it up in the back or something like that. I keep going around. They make ones that are even smaller than this too, that you can take in your bag and go hunting, or if you're at your house you want to use it. Also too, when you get a really sharp knife and you start getting cocky, it'll be right through the finger. If you're doing this, you hit that, it's not as bad. So this is another way I've seen guys pull the meat down before, so that's always another option. You don't need a well saw. And if you want to get one, they're not cheap, but they get through animals fast. If you want a home thing, but you guys can do that. The last thing is a skinny knife. This is more of a commercial. It's a longer blade, so you go a little faster. I mean, it's just a preference of what you like. I like this knife because it's got a blunt edge on it. So, say you got a really nice zebra, and when you're skinning it, and you want to keep the skin, and you're cutting through it, the tip will go through the skin of the pellet wherever you got, and you keep it. You'll stick to the meat. And also, this makes really long, nice cuts in here, so you're not as tended to make it look like this. You know, where you use a super short knife, you should use something like this. Power around, guys. So when you get your say it's whole, you want to hang it to let it bleed out. There's two spots where you can get a hook. The first one is through the hock right here. That's what you chose. The second spot is through Kayla's right there. Make sure you pull up on it. If you pull down 90% of the time, cut out right through the thing and then you lost your hook. And then say you mess that one up, you have nowhere to hang it. You can hang it through here. Mess it up. So those are two preferable spots to hang it. It always helps to have a buddy there to buy you beer and also help hold the pig so it doesn't fly around everywhere. And so what next he's going to do, he's going to pull the shoulder off of the middle and then the leg off of the middle. So that's pretty much what we call breaking into primals. So you have primals and you have subprimals. The primals are the shoulder, which consists of the hock, the trotter, the picnic, and the butt. The middle primal consists of the loin, the baby back rib, spare rib, and the belly, and the back primal is pretty much the leg with a little bit of the sirloin attached to it. So you count 3 ribs over. 1, 2, 3. Everyone come check that out. So wherever my thumb is, some people will score it like that, and that's the line they want to cut on. I've seen guys before too, if they want to keep their ribs intact all the way up to here, they'll cut it there and then fall along that line. I just don't like doing that personally because it makes it uneven. I do commercial stuff, so if you make that unsquare, you have a wedge piece of meat you can't sell as a pork chop. You're selling it as trim, and that's exactly the thing you don't want. So here it doesn't matter as much, just kind of let you know what I'm looking for. So you want to cut straight down the line. So do it. Get through the rib. And then you don't want to saw all the way down through the meat. As you're sawing through the bone, the saw's okay in some of the meat, but when you get down to the bottom, sometimes it'll tear it back and forth. So that's why you want a longer knife, get down in there and cut right through it. When you have a really long knife, it makes the cut super simple. And you have a nice flat cut. There's your loin. There's the ribeye. So the copa, that's the copa right there.
Okay, that's the very southern part of the copa.
That's the copa right there. So the copa runs all the way down there. So it's just pretty much, like I said, it's an extension of the loin. So here's your rib chop. Here's your center chop, and there's your ham. Another thing too is right here, they didn't pull the leaf lard, so I'm gonna do that right now. So usually the slaughterhouse, thanks Mike. Usually the slaughterhouse, they'll pull this for you. See how it's really in there? This is a leaf lard right here. So by the time it gets back to you, it's all balled up and bunchy like you see it when you're using it for your cooking oils. That's your leaf lard right there. So give it a day to dry out, it'll ball nice and turn really nice and white. The next thing you pull is your tenderloin. Everyone come around here and check it out real quick. Come on, let me get this cord out. So the tenderloin starts at the end of your rib and extends down into your center cut. So that's the tenderloin right there. Okay, so I'm going to pull the tenderloin real fast. So when you pull the tenderloin, you see how you got a ridge right here? A lot of guys, when they cut it, they won't get the whole piece of tenderloin off. So they'll almost have a little extra piece of meat stuck in there. So I see as I'm doing it, not everyone does like this. I like to do it because I like to get all of it. So I'm putting my knife in there and I'm slowly pulling it down. And then make sure as you're pulling it, you're not going through the meat below it. See how there's a seam right there? I'm pulling the seam up. If I go through there, I mess my belly up. And if I go through there, I mess it up more. The next cut we're going to do is we're going to pull the middle off the leg. So I like to go straight here at this spot right here. So you have that little bone left. I've seen guys do it like that before. You can if you want. I usually like to go a little straighter. Just about right there. And once you stop feeling the bone, stop. I might not have done enough. There it is. Okay, so if you look at this loin, here's all your loin, there's your baby back, and there's your spare rib. So where they get the term spare rib from is it's just a leftover spare rib. Because they don't want the baby back, they want the spare rib. That's what you get. So you're cutting it right here in the line. So your bones run directly down that way, okay? So you don't want to go too far left because you're ruining your belly, you don't want to go too far right. So what I do, I just find this point right here, go 2 fingers over, and that's your line. So that's the line I'm cutting on, right there. And then so you're going to follow where your tenderloin used to be, and then you cut like that. You can see how sharp that knife is, that's barely a hole on it, that's cutting through it. So there, I separated, that's the first part of the belly, that's the first part of the loin. The tomahawks, people were talking about tomahawks earlier. If you're going to do a tomahawk, what you do, I can do the next one if you really want to see it.
You guys want to do that?
You pull, instead of me physically cutting the belly attached to the rib off, I would pull the belly off from the underside, extend to there, so then I pull the belly off as one piece, and then I'd have the rib still attached to the baby back, and then I'd have to shine all this, which I'll show you how to do that, which is very hard with a handsaw, and then you cut it following these lines right here, and that's how you get your big bone off the tomahawk. Same thing on beef and anything, that's usually big long bones. It just kind of wastes the spare. There's your loin, and there's your belly. So, those are subprimal over there. That's your primal loin, your primal belly.
Once you trim this off, what you're looking at right there, that's your bacon. That's essentially what that is. It's prior to being cured, that's your bacon.
What I'll do is I'll come along here, and I'll pull this off right here, and that's your spare. Okay, and then you can get this right here. This is called a skirt steak. You pull that out of here. So you want to get all this glandy meat off. This is really like sour if you eat it. But there's like a little skirt steak. So you can throw that in the grill. So we have choices to make here. Do we want to have a thick rib or do we want to have a thick belly? Personally, I like a thick belly, so I usually cut around the rib and see it, so I'll do that right now. See the bone? I'm touching the bone. Should I punch through there? That rib's pretty, I couldn't sell it, but I don't care because I want belly. Along there, and then just have your knife follow the whole edge. You really got to be careful when you're going through here to not have your knife go down into it. So you're always upward pressure. So as you're going through here, you've got a sharp knife, you pull all this stuff off. The bones down towards the bottom here, these are called feather bones. You're going to be cutting through those all the time. So you gotta be real, not sort of looking for right. There you go. You gotta really pay attention because you don't want this in your belt when you're baking. Someone bites into it, it might choke or something like that. Okay. So there you got your spare. So it's nice and ugly, shiners all over the place, but we don't care because our belly's nice and thick. So there's your belly right there. So you go through, you pick at all the little feather bones that came off. The belly, I usually just leave it like that. You can cure it, do whatever you want with it. Some people, yeah. So you mean this is it?
You roll it,
Yeah. You can, pancetta, you can roll it. Porchetta. is with the loin. The next class I'll do that for you guys. It's a little more intensive. They roll like that, you tie it up, you season it, you know, stuff like that with it. Next is the loin. Real good. So what we want to do, everyone come around here. You want to split this off. Excuse me. Off the rib. So you're going to break it about halfway down. So you get your ribs in right here. I usually go about 2 over and then split it right there. So I'll do a knife more, then we can check it out. All right, that's where you want to split it. And then the next cut is going to be to get the sirloin off. If you're looking when I was cutting the belly, that's kind of where the crappy stuff started on the belly. So that's the area you want to cut it off from. So you really want to cut your chop away from there, because this bone has another bone running next to it. And if you want it to be a clean looking chop, you don't want that bone in there, because it'll look flawed. So it'll look perfect. So you really want to give yourself a liberal cut over here. So I'm going to fall through that one first. So in that spot. So when you're doing this, there's 2 ways of doing this. There's a way I just did it there, and there's a way, a look at me kind of way. And I'll show you both ways. So I think I did a pretty good job there. So there's your sirloin. So there's your loin. Yeah. And then I'll cut this one off. There's your center cut, and there's your rib. So what they do, or what butchers do, is something called chining. So what you get your bandsaw, you run it through there, and you chine off your thing, you chine off the bone, and it makes it cut through. But if you're doing it, and you're doing it at your house, the best way to do it is get your chop, lay it down, don't even worry about the ribs. Pick out the cuts you want. Would you want a 5-inch chop? You want a half-inch chop? Or you want a 1-inch chop? Go down here, like that. All the way down through it. And there's your first chop. You keep going down all the way through whatever length you want, and then you have even chops, not wasting anything. So because if you chine it like that, it's a pain in the butt first of all. And then when you're cutting on the ribs, you have even chops, and you get down to here, and you have like a weird looking thing no one wants to eat. So let's keep going down here. And you're doing this on a bandsaw, it's like night and day.
It's like 2 seconds versus.
There's your first chop. There's your second chop. Third chop. Fourth chop. There you go. So those are our pork chops. Okay. So if I'll show you the next one. If I were to pull the rib off the back, that would be made back rib. But then you have a boneless chop, which is a big deal to everybody. Okay. The sirloin. The sirloin usually, what we would do is you just get your bandsaw and you trim off this bone right here. You can have a little bone in roast. There's second way to do it. It's boning out sirloins. When you first start, is what you do all day long. You always stick on the bone. Here's your bone. What you do is you go in and all this stuff, we'll do it later, trim, yeah, the sausage like that. You get these, it's nice little piece of meat. See, that's what I was talking about. It's like the double muscle. It doesn't look as good in chop. You see how it's really red and dark meat over here? It's not the best. So what you do is you just cut the little steaks. Cutlets, you have little steaks. This is center cut. They'll bone this whole thing out and they'll set it on a plate and they'll season it up and grill it, and you pretty much have like a little roast out of the center cut. Still pretty tender meat. It comes out pretty good.
So with the difference between a pit and
torque can pretty much do what you want.
Yeah. You get really creative.
So what I did right here, I just totally cut out the spine. So the spine's gone now. And I made a boneless chop out of it. And then either do a roast out of it, or you just cut little chops.
You can see the marbling in there, those. It's really nice. I mean, that's a good piece of meat to put on the grill.
Here's that. So, what's next? To the shoulder. The more sought after meat is up in here. It's more tender. It's got more marbling in it, as you can see. You know, it's an extension of the loin, so everyone wants this. So what you do is if you want to do a butt, you're breaking the picnic off of the butt. So your picnic shoulder and your butt shoulder. So all you do is pretty much find this mark. I've seen guys cut it a little lower before, because when you open it up, there's a little joint right here, and you cut right in the joint, it makes it easy to separate. I like to cut it higher, how it was taught. So pretty much follow that line right there. Separate the butt from the picnic.
It's a shoulder blade of the pigs.
What you got now, if I was going to pull a cobra, what I would have done is I would have pulled this whole rib off, the whole collarbone, and then I would start down at the bottom and pull the whole thing out. That'd be pulling a cobra. So what you do, I'll do the next one.
And then you just use more of that.
Yeah, so then what happens is, so once you pull that off, and you got a bunch of different pieces of it, there's little things you can get out of it. Like
Cut your ribs.
Yeah, cut your ribs right here, yeah, like little steaks and stuff. So what I'm going to do right now is pull the blade off here. See, when I cut that, I went way too far to the one side. I really want to be there for my split to make it so it's more even. It's not a big deal, but it happens. So follow the bone all the way down until you get to the bone kind of rolling. See how it kind of rolls around here back on the rib cage? You follow that all the way down. Bring the knife on the other side and twist it. And follow all the way along. And that makes sure you're keeping a lot of the meat on there, guys. So do it right there. You'll come around the other end, walk your knife up.
Say the prayer when you come across, just follow the bone. Just like ride the bone all the way.
Ride the bone, yeah. I mean, pork is a lot of sticking on the bones and then just knowing where to kind of cut it out.
He's explaining earlier the thinner knives like that, they follow the bone better than a fatter back knife is more sturdy, it doesn't flex a lot. A little skinnier knife. This fillet knife I ever found, I got at a bait shop, I think in like most of these for like $3 or something. You know?
So it's almost like a bird. You want to follow that.
Yeah, exactly.
Was it used for like filleting fish?
Yeah, fillet bait was like $3.99. Rapala bait knives, you know? I still use the thing to this day. I think.
So this is what they call a collarbone. You could do like a stew out of it. I mean, people want this a lot. I've never messed with it before, so yeah, crock pot, make a stew out of it, something like that. So me, I'm a simple dude. I get this left over and I cut it into 3 roasts. You can do like a pulled pork out of it. We have the whole family over, throw it in the crock pot. This meat right here at the end, I usually like to trim that off, just because it's got blood in it, and it's probably going to be a little stink. So what you do here is, I'm just going to make a couple roasts out of this. So you pick your length, usually you're doing pulled pork out of these. I usually, the size of it, I just split in half. You probably get 2, 4-pound pieces. When you're doing something like this, I'm just going to cut into thirds. You cut down, like I said earlier, you're going to hit a blade bone right here, so don't like try to kill it, you're going to hit it. Same thing on that one. So you just cut down until you feel the bone, you stop, and get your saw. And this is so much easier when you have a bandsaw. Like,
It's zip, you're on your way to bigger, better things.
so there's your shoulder roast.
Oh no.
Every second.
You just follow along here.
Is that where that's the country is?
Country ribs, yeah.
There's actually 2 sets. I'm already cutting off the other one.
country ribs, yeah. I've seen guys.
That's a great piece of product material.
I've seen guys kind of real thick. You can get all the way down to the bone right here if you want, and make a whole big chunk of big roast out of it if you want. I mean, it's not my thing personally.
Well, you tunnel it, couldn't you? You go out the back and like tunnel it completely out and pull out that
You
bone.
could if you want to. I mean,
Yeah.
you know, it's if you want to do a, like if you're gonna do a roast out of it, you were gonna go that in depth into doing it. I just have the bone in it. It's better with the bone in anyways because the middle would look a little better. You know, if you're gonna pull the bone out, I just bone out your sausage. There's other ways you could do it too. You could cut it right here along the line.
Right.
Cut the bone off, and you have another roast. You can
Right.
pull pork out of
And
it.
you have that shank half that's just,
Exactly. Yeah. Just trim this
pork shank.
little piece off right here. Yeah, I'll do that one. I'll do this one into a roast. You do the other one into trim. You pull this little sucker off right here. This will go into the trim. I'm gonna leave your long knife. You follow along right there. You got a bone about halfway through the leg bone.
Right, yeah. That's what I figured.
So you pretty much get the pig neck and you pull off the whole front end of it. And this piece of meat's a little more delicate right here. And you could use that to do like a roast or something like that if you want, or do like a curry or something. This is one of the pieces where you could follow seams if you really want to. You guys come look around, look at here. You can see where the muscle group kind of changed right here.
right?
Yeah, where my knife is. You can kind of get a knife in there and you can actually kind of pull it apart if you
Yeah.
want to and make nice little roasts out of it. Something like
Truss
that.
it?
What?
Truss it? Like
Yeah, exactly.
pull
Yeah,
out,
you
truss
can
it.
just pull right out. It'll pull apart. On a real nice pig, it'll do that. And a commercial pig, not so much.
Right.
I'll show you guys. See as I'm kind of walking down that?
Right.
It kind of come apart, and you can see the cartilage in there. Just kind of pull apart.
You pull that
Like,
bone out straight away.
Exactly, yeah. So what you do is you got down there, and I'm just gonna bone this sucker out real quick for you guys. You come along here, pull it towards you, that muscle. When you get your knife, a backhand grip, and follow your knife, the bone's down. I'm missing it a little bit. You always want to make sure you're pushing your knife up towards the meat. You're not, you get cuts in it, which isn't the best. Like I kind of messed this one up a little bit. You can see where I came down around the bone. So you got all meat there, and your bones right here where my finger is.
Is that joint hard to get around, or is it?
This one right here, this
Yeah.
is what I'm getting back at right there. So you want to follow this line right here. See where I'm kind of, the knife's kind of pulling apart from me right there?
Right.
That's the line you want to follow.
Okay.
Because if you get too far into here, you're getting in the meat that's not going to break off too easy.
you
Right.
can't pop their joints like how you do with chickens, right?
No.
That's
You
way
can
too-
cut through them.
Cut into it.
Yeah.
I mean, that's,
They can't just.
Yeah.
So when you're boning out pigs a lot, on your knife, it'll get, so as you're hitting the bone, it'll start to fold over. That's why you use steel. You run it straight down and kind of get your edge back. It kind of folds the end back over. That's why I said when you're using a really soft knife, when you're using a really soft knife, it folds over easier, it stays. If you get a really hard knife, it's like really hard to get back. It's hard to lose, but it's so hard to get back. This kind of thing. So in something like this, you can kind of do whatever you want with it. Just cut it a little shape, like whatever shape you want. Always look for like bones, like your feather bones, like another thing. Just little bones that you missed or you cut directly through because your knife's sharper, you know, and the bones a little tender, that's something you want to throw away. You get this, square it up. I'm just pulling, I'm not even going off groups. I'm just pulling chunks of meat out of there and then make it look pretty. Everything you're taking off here, is going in the stew or into the trim anyways. seasoning knife.
You need to cut that if you wanted to. I'm sure he's going to show you, but you can cut that into, leave the fat cap on the outside, make some really nice steak, put on the grill,
Yeah.
or anything else.
It's like little cutlets. This piece would be the best. I've grilled these a million times. You just throw them on the grill. It's real easy. You know, if you don't want to grind it up, you just want to feed some of your friends, just a little bit of salt and pepper. It tastes great. This, I just pretty much, you know, you could do, because I've seen guys get seasoning. You get all the real double skin out of here. So like all this stuff right here, it's a silver skin, get it all out of here, make it nice and clean. You can even get this, season it, and wrap it up, and make a roast out of that. You net it, and just put it in the oven like that if you really want to. Yeah, you can try it. You can even put kind of seasoning on it. Might taste a little different because when you get the belly, you get a lot more flavor into it, kind of thing. You know, that's the one thing I love about pork is you can do whatever you want with it. It's just whatever you want to do.